never expected low moods to be the first signs of perimenopause. I had no hot flushes, no missed periods, just a feeling of being off every few days. Like something in me had shifted. I was 48, and there were so many mornings I asked myself, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel so low? At the time, everything in my life was going well, which made those feelings even harder to make sense of. Many of you have asked how I manage my menopause symptoms, so this is the start of a new series of videos about my experience with this transition. The videos in this series will be based on my own experience, and I'll be approaching them from a holistic perspective, drawing on my background in nutrition. This is how I've approached menopause without HRT, just using what I've learned along the way. I hope it helps you too if you're navigating your menopause journey. I know this video may not feel directly relevant to my male viewers, but if there's a woman in your life, a partner, friend, sister, it might help you better understand what you could be going through. Even learning about the biology of women's bodies during my midwifery training never prepared me for what to expect during menopause. I knew that something wasn't quite right. I just didn't feel like myself anymore. My sleep was off. I'd lie awake for hours and most nights were restless. I only had a few full nights sleep each month, and it left me feeling drained, emotionally flat, and it was so hard to function with the resulting brain fog. As a midwife, I had access to plenty of research papers, and I certainly made use of that access. I carried out extensive research on menopause. I wanted to learn what was happening to my body and how I could help myself through it naturally. I was trained to look for signs of potential mental health issues in the women that I cared for in my clinic. So when I began to notice those signs within myself, it got me worried about my mental health. And this was what led me to go and see my doctor. I expected a conversation about stress or low moods, but he looked at my age and said, "Going by your age, this could be early stages of menopause." I was really surprised. I thought, I'm too young. I always believed that menopause started when your period stopped, not with low moods, poor sleep, and that debilitating brain fog. No one had told me it could sneak up like this, with symptoms I never expected or knew about, and long before your cycle ends. But in that moment, something clicked and it all made sense. My doctor offered HRT, and I know that for many women that's the right choice, but I was finishing my nutritional diploma, and I'd always felt strongly about working with my body. I was waiting for him to suggest foods and lifestyle changes too, but nothing. Back then there wasn't much reliable information on managing perimenopause or menopause naturally, especially around food, rest and lifestyle. With my knowledge of nutrition and research on menopause, I made gradual changes and listened to my body more than I ever had. It wasn't until I started research that I eventually came across the word perimenopause, a word no one had ever mentioned to me. Not my doctor, not during my training, not even casual conversation. And it felt like something I should have known. But I hadn't heard of the word until I was already deep in perimenopause. Perimenopause is the phase leading up to menopause, when your hormones begin to shift. It can affect your mood, sleep, and overall well-being, even when your periods are still regular. I wish I'd known that sooner. It would have made things less confusing. Thinking back, my periods stopped for a few months before I turned 40. But I assumed it was stress from starting my new job as a midwife. I never realized it was the beginning of perimenopause. Menopause itself is defined by 12 months without a period. It marks the end of reproductive years. And while many women expect hot flashes, brain fog, what's often overlooked is how complex and subtle the lead-up can be. I'm a few years post-menopause now, and thankfully, my symptoms have been easing more at each passing year. Even though going through the natural route isn't for every woman, I believe the easing of my menopause symptoms has a lot to do with my nutrition and lifestyle. Even though there's more awareness about menopause now, it's still easy to miss the signs when you're in it. Many of us expect hot flushes or missed periods, the so-called obvious symptoms. But for me, it began with low mood, disturbed sleep, and this sense of feeling disconnected from myself. I wish I'd known that perimenopause can start this way. And it's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's a slow shift, and if you don't know what to look for, it's so easy to think it's just stress or aging. Knowing what signs to look for can make a huge difference. I know I was lucky. My symptoms weren't as bad as what many other women go through. That being said, the tough times were really hard. But I leaned on what I knew from my nutrition training and did my best to support myself naturally. and I really think that helped. And maybe that's part of why it feels so meaningful now. I didn't follow what anybody else was doing. I listened to my body. And I adjusted what didn't work or what made things worse. I learned that menopause is an ever-changing goalpost. But I stayed open to learning along the way. And I'm still open to what I may need to change now that I'm in post-menopause. It wasn't always clear or easy, but I was doing what was right for me. And that made it feel more empowering. However you choose to manage your menopause journey, I hope you know that it's okay to do it your way too. And there is certainly no one size fits all. What matters is whatever choice you want to make sure it feels supportive and right for you. If you're watching this and feeling off or unsure, you're definitely not alone. A lot of us go through this quietly, thinking it's just us. Also, this isn't the end of anything, it's just a change. And it may not be an easy or fun change, but it's a change that you can move through in whatever way feels manageable for you and where you're at. In future videos on this series, I'll be sharing more about how I navigated menopause naturally. And I'd love for you to come back and follow along. And if this video helped you in any way, I'd be so grateful if you'd share it with someone who might need it, or leave a comment below. And I do read every comment that you leave. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video.